Another morning begins. Another day on Earth. What will it bring? What knife of sword of Damocles will fall on who? How? Eesh. Horror, horror. All right. Anyway, watched. Oh, look. I have an interesting bug, like a little tiny dragonfly or something. Anyway, Professor Anton made his response. It's nice. But again, it's like there's some sort of mystery here. And, well, first I'll deal with the alphabet argument, which is, I say fine, there's a certain efficiency to this alphabet-based language, and this idea of Latin, structured, what do you call those, prefaces to words and pieces to words, components to words and concepts, where like a word can be itself dissected into its parts, and it's basically a sentence can be built into a word. That's a great idea, great concept, and it's all built out of simple building blocks. So it's more structured, it's more mechanically efficient, let's call it. But it's not going to make the difference, I don't think. Maybe it'll make a difference in how quickly you'll learn something, but if you think about what the Egyptians did with technology, it was pretty impressive with a symbolic language that I don't think they sounded out either. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't think that's terribly important stuff, actually, to determining what the meaning of our existence is. Ooh, excuse me. Mornings are tough sometimes. So anyway, the more important issue is this idea, you even said it, that you think we have some sort of free choice. Choice is so complex an idea, and you don't care for the meme idea because it sounds too much like Gene. Well, it's a deterministic universe. I mean, it's just as you said things that just I think life exists somewhere else. Like you think the difficult component is the creation of the reproducing molecular structure, and you don't think it's such a big. And the big hurdle is sentience or consciousness. I might argue that sentience is a hurdle. Who the hell knows? That one's really hard to figure out what minimum brain structures are required to create the illusion of consciousness. Yeah, so that one's really hard to imagine how that exactly played out in evolution, what events had to take place. But I would argue, as I have repeatedly, that creating the first reproducing machine was no simple trick. That it may have been, a circumstance as preposterous as, entering 3 state lotteries and winning all 3 of them. Some kind of crazy thing like that. It just isn't very likely. Because there's no demonstration of it. Even in this rich biosphere, no new life form arises. No new DNA monster is created, or something like DNA. So anyway, moving to something else. I believe I had an agenda. Let me think what it was again. Life, meaning, and memes. I think that's an important subject. Like, where do we get our concept of life and meaning? And I just think you can't separate it from the mass media, how we're raised, what kind of babble is bashed into our heads, little Santa Claus and Easter rabbits and fables, and we get a little more mature and we start reading Melville or Shakespeare or whatever, and we get a whole new set of fables and fairy tales and narratives. We have this mass psychology stuff going on that totally validates existence, totally invalidates. Oh, you're depressed? Well, god damn it, we have to bash you with some sledgehammer drugs and bash that out of you. You're not allowed to be depressed. You're not allowed to think life is a pile of shit. No, we're gonna have to pump you up full of clown juice and get you to thinking right, bastard. Life is charming and wonderful. Even Professor Anton says it's a fucking gift. So how the fuck can you sit there and say to yourself, what the hell is this crap? You have no right to call life crap. I mean, it's this brilliant construction. I mean, it's not like a dumb, dopey Egyptian pyramid that has no purpose and that just is a big monument to wasted labor. No, life is, chirping the same chirp over and over and over. Come on, get real. It's stacking a rock on top of a rock on top of a rock on top of a rock. It's been there, done that. And the only thing that keeps us in the game, as I said, is this idea that we can frame it any way we choose. There we have choice, if there is such a thing. But we choose through those memes. We run a little program, that's written for us. We don't get to write our personality or our identity. We have to be exposed to an idea. Somebody has to. For you, in a sense, it's really hard to be original. You do sort of need. Each person takes on a new nuance, adds a new letter. If you want to use the vocabulary analogy, we can each add a letter or two to the sentence. We can improve it or make it more concise and precise through our addition of filtering, because we're all doing this filtering thing. But we can't take it to some, we can only go so far. I mean, you have to do this all incrementally, this learning thing. You're just not going to, snap your fingers and go from primitive man to a guy who can do trigonometry or something. It's going to take time to understand the relationships, and each person adds their bit. And so, I mean, it'd be great if somebody like an Albert Einstein could live forever, and they could, because they're an icon that was respectable, and it could do the, fact-checking kind of thing in the social environment, and maybe keep the human race from diverting into nonsense, because there really isn't anything out there now that's doing that. There's no icon of more balanced perception. The only icons are stupid popes and moronic presidents and other piles of crap that have no credibility in this conversation about meaning. But you just can't get away from experience as the source of your identity. I mean, it's written all over it. Where is there room for anything else but experience? I mean, I have to go through it. I have to see it. I have to absorb it. It doesn't just arise in me. I mean, obviously, I can once I know the concept of 2, and I know the concept of plus and equals, well, then I can do 2 plus 2. And so I can parallel discoveries made by other people once I understand the dynamic of a system. But I still have to be informed on how to construct the equation, on the fact that there exist equations. It just isn't going to poof. And we aren't going to just choose in a environment of, in an undefined environment. We're choosing in an explicitly detailed, understood life experience environment. And you can see the reality of it. you can see how people, basically breed consistent. Muslim begets Muslim, Christian begets Christian. So it's just pretty sad. Let's see, where else can we go here? But it's the key thing in the conversation, though, is how do we get from being controlled by overt and explicit social memes to being able to use our intelligence to recognize the fallibility of that pop culture and to think for ourselves, so to speak, to reconstruct the truth in our own minds based on the facts. But maybe that's part of the trick too, though, is too few people can do that. There's too few people that